All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're going behind the scenes, checking out something really cool happening in U.S. cricket. It's called the Cricket Plus Plus and Playout Initiative.
Definitely cool, yeah. It's about, you know, it's bigger than just the game itself. This is about trying to make cricket a part of American culture, like really woven in.
Okay, so think about the USPL Season 3 finals, right? You have the New York Cowboys. They won their second championship against the Maryland Mavericks. The games were amazing, so exciting.
Mm.
But off the field, there's all this energy, like people trying to figure out how to take U.S. cricket even further.
And that's where this Cricket Plus Plus comes in, right? It's like this big vision almost. They want to make these cricket matches into huge cricket festivals. So imagine a stadium packed with fans, and they have all kinds of entertainment built into the games themselves. The idea is to make cricket a really big deal in the American sports world.
And Jaydeep, he's the USPL founder, he said it perfectly. How do we bring more crowd and how we bring more entertainment around the game? So what do you think? What kind of entertainment would actually get more people interested in cricket? Something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good question. But while you're thinking about that, let's shift gears a little, talk about the USPL Playout Initiative. This one is all about growing the sport, but like at the ground level.
Maybe.
Inspiring the next generation of players here in America. And they're not just talking about it, they're actually doing stuff. Remember those young players, the ones from the YMCA? They got to hang out with these big international cricket stars during the USPL
Oh
seasons.
yeah, those USPL playout episodes were really cool, can you imagine? Like Pranav, this young bowler, he got tips and advice directly from Jake, the captain of the New York Cowboys. That kind of mentorship is priceless.
Totally. And you had the Trump brothers too, Matthew and Joshua. When you listen to them talk about being in the USPL, it's so clear that this league is giving these talented young players a real chance to get noticed, to make a name for themselves.
For sure. And then there's Arya. He plays for the NJ Titans. He watched the pros, and he learned how important it is to be able to adapt, to think quickly, especially in T20 cricket. Those are lessons you just don't get from reading a book.
One thing that really strikes me when I listen to those playout interviews is how much these young players appreciate everything. They're so thankful for what the USPL is doing for them. They talk about how supportive everyone is and how they get to learn from the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's obvious that these playout programs are making a big difference. They're shaping the future of cricket in America. So here's a question for you. If you were a young cricketer here in the U.S. with big dreams, what would you ask someone like Unmukt? He's a former under-19 World Cup winning captain. What would you want to know?
That's a great question to think about. Because ultimately, the success of all this, the Cricket Plus Plus and the playout stuff, it all comes down to creating a system that works, something sustainable for the sport. It's not just about filling up stadiums or finding the next superstar.
It's about making people love the game, creating that passion that lasts for generations.
Exactly. That's where the real magic is. Okay, so we're back. And it's really something to see how these initiatives are starting to impact the whole U.S. cricket scene.
Yeah, like they're building this network,
Mhm.
connecting those experienced pros with the young players, the fans, with all the excitement of the games, and even like bridging cultures, all through this love of cricket.
It's true. And speaking of connections, one of the things that's really cool is how they're using these digital platforms to reach even more people.
Oh, you mean like those USPL playout episodes?
Yeah.
They really give you a glimpse into what these incredibly talented cricketers are thinking.
Exactly. Like, take that episode with Sarab, for instance. He talked about how different it is playing cricket here in the US compared to India, and how important it is to adapt to all the different playing conditions and styles.
Yeah, I remember that. When he said that cricket was like a simulation of life, that really stuck with me. The ups and downs, the surprises that come up, having to come back after setbacks. It makes you think about how those lessons apply to everything, not just sports.
Absolutely. And it's not all about physical skills either. These playout episodes really give you some insights into the mental side of the game, too. Like when Unmuk talked about how important focus is and discipline, always pushing yourself to be better.
His whole thing about his pre-match routines, that was really interesting. Putting on his left pad first, then the right one. Always stepping onto the field with his left foot. It just shows you how important it is for these athletes to find what works for them,
Yeah.
get in the zone.
Yeah. Those routines, they're not just superstitions. They give you a sense of control, a familiarity, especially when you're under pressure.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can tell Unmukt is really passionate about sharing what he knows, inspiring the next generation of players. He's a real ambassador for cricket.
He really is. And it's not just the international players making a difference either. The young guys are sharing their own insights too.
Right, like Aryan, Pranav, and Utkarsh from that first USPL playout episode. Hearing them talk about playing their first game under the lights, the nerves, the excitement, and what they learned from playing with those seasoned pros, that was incredible.
Yeah, and their optimism about the future of U.S. cricket, that was contagious. They see how much the sport is growing here, how much more professional it's becoming, all the doors that are opening up for young players.
And they have every right to be optimistic. It's an amazing time for cricket in the U.S. And these programs, Cricket Plus Plus and Playout, they're a big part of why. We're seeing more young people playing, more competitive leagues, even the T20 World Cup coming to the U.S. It's phenomenal.
It really is. And it's not just happening at the pro level either. These initiatives, they're having an effect all over the country. Remember Jay Deep talking about taking the USPL Playout initiative to all parts of the U.S.?
Right. It's not just about the big cities or the places where cricket is already popular. They're trying to reach all kinds of communities, sharing this love for the game with everyone.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's about creating a cricket culture in the U.S. that's truly inclusive, one that welcomes players and fans from all backgrounds.
Yeah. And that's what makes covering this story so exciting for us. It's about community, it's about opportunities, and it's about how sports can bring people together.
Well said. And it reminds us that none of this works without the passion and the commitment of everyone involved, from the veteran players to those young kids just starting out and all those dedicated fans.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the excitement about Cricket Plus Plus and Play Out, all the cool stories. But we should probably talk about the challenges too.
Yeah, you're right. It's not always going to be easy, especially when you're trying to grow cricket here in a place where other sports are already so huge. Like, one of the biggest things is getting more people to watch, competing for viewers when there's already so much out there.
Yeah, it makes you think about what G. Deep said about needing to bring more entertainment to the games.
Yeah.
It's tricky, right? You have to make cricket fun and exciting for people who maybe haven't watched it before.
Exactly. You want to create this experience that draws people in, even if they don't know all the rules yet. Like maybe having music, good food, stuff for families to do. It's about creating that whole festival atmosphere around the matches.
And we can't forget about developing young players, right?
Yeah.
The USPL Playout Initiative is awesome, but they need to get that going all across the country.
Absolutely. It's about putting money into youth programs, training coaches, creating opportunities for those kids to learn and play at every level.
It's about helping them develop that love for cricket when they're young, so maybe one day they can play for the U.S.
Yeah.
On the world stage.
Right. And that brings us to another challenge. Competing at that highest level, the U.S. team, they have potential. But to really challenge those top teams, it's going to take a lot of work, long-term planning, and investment.
It's a journey, that's for sure. It takes dedication from everyone, the players, the people running things, the fans. But from what we've seen, there's a real passion for cricket here in the U.S., and that means the potential is huge.
Definitely. It's inspiring, seeing how much people care and how hard they're working to make all this happen. It reminds you that building a strong cricket culture, it's about more than just winning or losing. It's about sharing that love for the game, creating opportunities, bringing people together.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling really optimistic about the future of cricket here. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see an American player holding up that World Cup trophy.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And wouldn't that be something for all those young players we've been talking about? Something to dream about.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for our deep dive into Cricket Plus Plus and the Playout Initiative. We hope you enjoyed learning about all of this and that you'll keep following the journey of cricket in the U.S. It's going to be exciting.
Thanks for listening.